What it is, what it do, YouTube? Welcome back to another video from your boy, man. I've been seeing these floating around a lot. I don't know if y'all remember the show Last Chance U. I loved Last Chance U. Oh my God, I love Last Chance U. But I love the original. I ain't really have a problem with the second one, but I love the original Last Chance U, where they was at EMCCC. I think that's what it was called. With the fat coach, like Bobby Hill a little bit, country white coach. And then they ended up going to what was the name of that school? Damn, what was the name of that school, bro? It was a weird ass name. Anyways, it was they did 2 seasons at EMCC, and then they went to another one. And man, we all know all of the people that was on that show, they were troubled. They were troubled people who got in trouble at their previous universities, which were sometimes Division I colleges, and this was their last chance. They would go to a JUCO, and this was literally their last chance to get back into a Division I school and go crazy and make it to the NFL. Which I love the concept. I love the videos. I love the show. But after the 4th season, I believe, or maybe the 5th season, that was the name of it, Independence. That was the second school. But after like the 4th or 5th season, they started going to basketball. Don't nobody give a fuck about no basketball. But anyways, we finna go ahead and check this out. Name is How Bobby Bruce for Last Chance U ruined his career / life. Now I remember Bobby. Bobby was hell on wheels. Now this was uploaded by Matt B. Great. Y'all go check him out. He do a lot of Last Chance U documentaries. I love his videos, bro. I've been watching them, but I haven't seen this one. But I specifically remember Bobby. And Bobby used to piss me the fuck off. I'm not even gonna lie to you, because why are you doing dumb shit, bro? Why are you doing dumb shit? All right, well, we finna go ahead and get to the video. Let's get it, man.
Bobby Bruce does not want to be helped. This guy, his own worst enemy. I agree. Bobby Bruce's main problem is he couldn't get out of his own way.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Bruce was one of the most famous players in Last Chance U. For better or for worse. I say that because a lot of people liked him. However,
yeah, he was a hell
many
of a
others
player.
grew extremely frustrated with the things he was doing. What were some of the things he was doing, you may ask? Great question, my friend. I'd love to answer it. For example, he got arrested and charged in an armed robbery case that would eventually be dropped for reasons we'll get into in just a second. But then when he got another chance at Last Chance U, he got in even more trouble. He couldn't get out of his own way. This would then lead head coach at the time, Jason Brown, with no choice but to kick him off of the team. You would think with him getting kicked off of the team, he would take it as a learning lesson and try to be better from then on out. Unfortunately, that was not the case. If anything, it was the beginning of the downward spiral for Bobby Bruce. After the show, things only continued to get much, and I mean much worse. There's many questions people have been asked about this guy even till this day. But however, it all circles back to the one. I mean, one big question we're going to try to get to the bottom of in today's video. What really happened?
I just don't
Bobby
understand
Bruce.
how you be set up for success. I really don't understand it, bro, because we have some troubled kids at our high school too, and literally they be set up for success. Like, got college recruiters and people coming to look at them. And I'm talking about, like, it's literally laid foundation for you. All you gotta do is go to class and play football, and they still fuck it up every single time.
What really happened?
I don't understand, man.
Ladies and
People
gentlemen,
would
boys
kill
and
for
girls,
this
hope all you having a great day.
opportunity.
If not,
You
hope this
pissing it
video
away.
can make it a little bit better. Just dropping by to say real quick, this has been the most highly requested video on the channel. I've seen hundreds of comments saying you gotta do Bobby Bruce, but I'm just gonna pop up 1 or 2 on the screen. Shout out to every single one of y'all requesting it. If there's any more Last Chance U players you want to see us cover that we haven't, or just players
Didn't
in
Bobby
general,
end up playing
leave a comment down
semi-pro
below.
or some
Who
shit?
knows? I made that video. That's pretty much it. Don't want to jibber jabber. I don't got time to waste. You don't got time to waste either. Without further ado, let's get into it. You already know, don't act brand new. To get into Mr. Bobby Bruce's story, we got to throw it all the way back to where things started. Bobby played his high school football for Titusville High School, which is located in the state of Florida. As you could guess, he was a pretty solid ball player like everyone is we talk about in these videos, because to play at the next level, I'm referring to college, you gotta be a stud in high school. For Titusville, he was named to the Cape Coast Conference All-Star team, not just in 2015, but in 2016 as well. To go on top of that, he was the 2016 5A District 14 Player of the Year. That's a very solid achievement. After playing high school ball, he would end up at Independence Community College. It is worth noting, before he even got to Independence, he was already running into trouble. So much trouble, matter of fact, the coaching staff was like, should we really even go after this guy? Should we pursue him? To make a long story short and to not overcomplicate things, they did. They gave Bobby a chance. Would they wind up regretting that decision? I'll let you be the judge. After his first year in 2017, he would be arrested in a case that is labeled as, and I'm showing it to you word for word, another arrest made in Snapchat armed robbery. I'm going to read this off word for word.
Wow.
Dwight Bobby Bruce, 20, of Titusville, is the second person charged in an armed robbery in Palm Bay, in which the suspects used the Snapchat mobile app to lure the victim into a trap outside his home. Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry for laughing. That's just not something you hear of every day. Dwight Bobby Bruce, 20, of the 1000 block of Kennedy Court, Titusville, is charged with armed robbery. He joins his alleged partner in the crime, Andrea Curry, I hope I'm saying that correctly, 19, who was arrested Tuesday. As you can see right here, he was being held on a $100,000 bond. Here's what happened. Police say that on May 26, a young woman responded to the victim's Snapchat request to get something to eat. She picked him up outside his home, but began acting quote-unquote fishy, reports state. When the victim got out of the car, he was approached by 3 men with their shirts tied around their faces as makeshift masks. Remember that. One of the men hit the victim with the shovel, cutting his forehead, and the others held him at gunpoint while forcing him to hand over his...
Damn! Slap that man with a shovel?
new iPhone, and about $450 in cash, police reported. Police were able to track down the woman on social media, who eventually told officers she believed that they were only traveling to Palm Bay from Titusville to purchase Mary Jane from the victim and had no previous knowledge. I like to read those off word for word so you get the official police report, but let me dumb it down even more. Bobby Bruce tried to set up an individual, and so he wouldn't get caught. He had or he didn't, but it was like a shiesty mask on. You know what a shiesty mask is. I'll pop it up on the screen. But instead of wearing that, he just had a shirt covering his face. It seemed like that was going to be the end-all, be-all for Mr. Bobby Bruce, because when that was going on, Independence Community College was like, yeah, there's no way we're letting this guy come back. But, and I have an astronomically, enormously large big but, this happened. Shortly after that incident, the charges against the Last Chance U star and football player Bobby Bruce in connection with a Palm Bay armed robbery earlier this year have been dropped, court records show. You're probably wondering, how in the world did this get dropped? Long story short, didn't have enough evidence. The reason they didn't have enough evidence, because like I told you earlier, remember, they were wearing masks, t-shirts, or just something to cover their face.
See now, right here, you already escaped. Like, come on, bro. Like, it's dumb. It's dumb. I don't understand it, bro. Like, you at Last Chance U. You know that scouts come there every single... I don't even know why the hell you even trying to rob somebody anyway, bro. You're in the middle of nowhere. You're in the middle of nowhere, bro. Like, it ain't shit out there. Like, what y'all gonna do with $450? It was for y'all. What? A new iPhone. Who got the iPhone? What, y'all sold the iPhone and split the profit? That's how y'all make money instead of actually getting a job? I don't understand that shit, bro. I really don't.
Quote unquote, the central issue in this case was the positive identification of the suspects. Brown said in an email, there were no physical evidence to link possible suspects to the crime, and the assailants wore masks preventing identification. Luckily enough, Bobby Bruce, he got off the hook, and this was a huge windfall. Because now, instead of Independence Community College and his other schools that were like, all right, we can't recruit this guy, what they start doing, they were like, all right, sweet, we can have him back on the team. I know technically... he's innocent, it got dropped, yada, yada, yada. But let's be real. He probably did it. Just wasn't enough evidence, therefore, he got off scot-free. What was interesting about this is when the charges got dropped, He
Not
was
in
telling
Indy.
people, oh, yeah, I'm not going back to Independence. I'm going somewhere else. He even told one reporter that he was going to continue his education
was
at
in
Eastern
Indy.
Florida State College and then walk on at UCF. One thing I need to throw in there that I kind of forgot to mention is Bobby Bruce was extremely behind on grades and academics. He says, and I quote, I've got to do just 2 semesters of school right now, then I can walk on to UCF. On paper, all of this sounds good at this point in time in his career and life. It seemed like things were heading in the right direction. Well, that's what we thought. Come to find out, he would not transfer elsewhere, and he would end back up at Independence Community College. Heading
Didn't he
into the
also have a
2018
kid?
season, there were high hopes for him. Sadly, he didn't live up to them. This is one of the most embarrassing things ever. He got cut from the team because he got caught stealing. But hold on, it gets even worse. Not only was he stealing, which is terrible in its own right, he stole from his teammate. There's not many things I
Wow.
hate in this life. But you know what's up there with the best of them? A thief. Can't stand them. I don't care
I'm
if you
trying to
steal
tell
1
you.
penny. Can't stand thieves. That's just my opinion, though. Did I really need to throw that in there in this video? Not really. It's
I don't
besides
like
the
thieves
point.
either.
What does matter is that was the end-all be-all for Mr. Bobby Bruce at Independence. They kicked him out. I think we can all agree there is no coming back from stealing from one of your teammates. You got to get that cancer cell out of the locker room. So they give him the boot, and like I said in the intro, you would think he'd try to turn his life around, but it was a complete opposite. This was the beginning to the downward spiral. He would sign with the Manatee Neptunes out of the A-League, but nothing ever came out of this. Shortly after that, in February 2020, he was arrested for possession of cocaine and drug paraphernalia. Not really a lot to say about that. He got arrested. I'm not going to sit up here and berate him. You know it's a bad look. This was also a big moment in his life because around this time, he just had a kid. Not exactly a good...
I could have sworn he had a kid during this show, though. If I'm not mistaken, I remember when he came there, he was talking about he had a son, or either he said he had a son on the way. But I remember him saying something about he had a kid.
Start to being a father, but hey, you live and you learn. You're probably starting to put 2 and 2 together here, though. Mr. Bobby Bruce, he never learned. He continued to make mistake after mistake after mistake. Only a couple years later, in March of 2022, he got arrested again. Shocker, right? For
God
burglary
damn, Bruce.
and grand theft. Let's read this off word for word, shall we? I haven't even taken a look at it. Dwight Bobby Bruce, 24, was arrested on March 8th and charged with burglary, unoccupied dwell unarmed, grand theft, other larceny over $750 under $5,000, and VOP on site. Bruce's bond was set at $7,500. Bruce, who graduated from Titusville High School in 2017, was arrested. Okay, that's stuff we already talked about. Here's what people on Reddit had to say about him getting arrested for the 3rd time now? Sorry, I lost count. This got 64 upvotes. How many chances does he want? Some people just can't be helped. A good kid
for
deep
real.
down, hope he doesn't go inside. Someone responded, we sure is a good kid inside. He came off as a nice enough person, but his actions are definitely not those of a good person, and I agree with that. Here's my rule of thumb. If you've been watching the channel for the past couple of years or even months, you've probably picked up on this, or you've heard me say it. I have made in my life many mistakes, and newsflash, buddy, I'm gonna make many more. And when I say mistakes, I don't mean like I've been arrested, never been arrested, and hopefully I never am. I just mean we're humans, we all make mistakes. So contrary to believe it or not, I'm not quick to criticize someone. If you make one big mistake and you learn from it, hey, I'll actually applaud you. And you've seen me doing videos, I applaud people for it, because that's a hard thing to do in this life. And for a lot of these guys, even if you make 2 mistakes and you learn from it, I'll applaud you and I respect it. But when you make mistake after mistake after mistake and you continue to compound bad decision after bad decision, I can't feel sorry for you. And I'm not going to sit up here and decipher whether or not Bobby Bruce is a good person, because everybody's definition of good person is different. That's subjective. But here's what I will say. I said it earlier, I'm going to say it again. I wouldn't be friends with them. I can't stand thieves.
Facts.
If you steal from people, you are a loser. Sorry, I'm not sorry. From watching
I
this,
feel the same way, though, because if you... my grandmother always told me, if you lie, you'll steal. And if you'll steal, you'll lie. I can't trust you. I cannot trust you. If I ask you a question and you lie to me about it, I can't leave my wallet around you, because now I know you'll steal. I've always felt like this because that's how my grandma raised me. Bro, I can't hang around no damn thief. Hell no. I got too much nice shit. And I want my nice shit. I worked hard for my nice shit. Ain't no damn way I'm finna leave you alone with my nice shit so I don't have no more nice shit.
the series, I think it's clear he's not a bad guy. He's just lacking in
Friend,
intelligence
cousin,
and has a very self-destructive
Romans and
streak.
gladiators.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's been manipulated into doing stupid crap by more savvy types. You know? I think that's spot on. I've never hung out with Bobby Bruce, so I'm not going to sit up here and say, yeah, he's not a bad guy, he's not a good guy. I don't even have the right to do that or say that. Here's what I will say. I think a lot of people in this life that find themselves in trouble, like Bobby Bruce has found himself in, they're not bad people. They just make bad choices and bad decisions, and there's a difference. There are some real life bad people out there. You know what I'm talking about. And I see people that I grew up with get in some serious trouble, maybe stealing, stuff like that. I'm like, well, dang. I knew that guy growing up. He wasn't that bad of a person. It comes down to this. All it takes is a couple bad choices, and your life, it goes down the drain.
But it also takes the people that you hang around. Because the people that you hang around, if I see 2 or 3 of your friends, like all right, let's just say you see 2 or 3 of my friends, and they're from the hood. You gonna look at me and you gonna be like, why you hanging with these hood? Oh, okay, because birds of a feather flock together. You know what I'm saying? And it's only a matter of time before you start doing what your friend, like, you know how a friend group, like let's say it's a friend group of 5 people. If you talk to each and every last one of them, they all gonna have the same lingo. And what I mean by lingo is they're gonna have the same slang. They're all gonna talk the exact same. So if they talk the same, they're gonna act the same. They're gonna do the same. Birds of a feather flock together. Because why would crows hang out with mockingbirds? It made sense, right?
Ooh, here's an interesting comment. Hate to side with Coach Brown on this, but he said it years ago. Plain as day on the Netflix series. Bobby Bruce does not want to be helped. Wow. What do y'all think about that? This guy, his own worst enemy. I agree. Bobby Bruce's main problem is he couldn't get out of his own way. Let's check on what some other people are saying about him. Bobby didn't have a chance. Way too far behind academically to make use of whatever piece of paper they could give him, and too small for even JUCO football. He had the deck stacked against him, and instead of playing the strain just in case an opportunity presented itself, he made school decide for him. Then when he came home, he was tweeting at semi-pro teams, and I'm guessing he didn't get much interest. Just sucks because Bobby wasn't a bad kid. What's up with everybody saying he wasn't a bad kid? I've seen that a lot. After how many arrests does, quote unquote, he's not a bad kid start to ring hollow? If he's not gifted academically, not gifted enough athletically, then he maybe just has to learn a trade and earn an honest living like millions of other Americans who...
Well, saying that he's not gifted athletically is a hell of a reach, because he is gifted athletically. That's the thing about it. He's a hell of a football player, hell of a linebacker. Hell, you saw the film? Some bitch was going through that bitch like a freight train. Bow! As soon as you touch the ball, he on your ass. That's not something that you can learn. Like you can learn it, but the what's the word? The bravery of running through that hole, not knowing where you're gonna get hit at, not knowing if you're gonna get chop blocked, not knowing if the guard is pulling and you finna get blindside blocked. You know what I'm saying? The bravery, you can't teach that. You can't teach that. That is gifted. That is God gifted. He has no fear. He ran through that bitch like a freight train and pow on your ass. That is gifted enough athletically. I don't know what that guy talking about.
Who never got a first, let alone
He just
the last
made
chance.
a lot of dumb decisions.
Billy responds, I've worked at a juvenile rehabilitation facility before, kid prison, not jail. Yeah, they are, hold on, they are, I think I'm going to say they are there. Yeah, there we go. But it's a few who clearly shouldn't be there. You listen to them, their story, you watch them. They just had a crap hand and wasn't given the tools to fix it themselves. So they just fall with no one to catch them, or they don't know when they're jumping off the cliff themselves. Then they're just evil people. Some folks don't look at him as evil, referring to Bobby, just not bright. Zaw responds, it's a good outlook, but not totally realistic. Just because somebody grows up in a bad circumstance doesn't mean they're destined for bad things to happen to them. At some point, you've got to take responsibility for your life. Hold on, I got to clap it up. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Love that response. Bobby Screw, excuse maker. I am the opposite of the victim mentality and complex. At the end of the day, it boils down to you. Does whatever situation you come from influence you? Does it have effect on you? Yeah, to a certain extent. I'm not going to divulge into this too much, but there's plenty of examples where a kid grew up extremely poor, parents on drugs, not really in their life, and they grow up to be a multi-millionaire, man or woman. And it's vice versa. I've seen cases and examples of mother's rich, father's rich, great stable home environment, and the kid is a complete loser, drug addict, stuff like that. I've had terrible things happen in my life, extremely bad things that I've yet to tell on this channel. And I've told you guys maybe one day I'll share my story with y'all. And every single one of you watching, truth of the matter is, we all have a sad story. Every single one of you, rich, poor, whatever, you've had at least one bad thing happen to you. But the main difference from winners and losers in this life is the winners use it as fuel to add to their fire. When something bad happens to a winner, a go-getter, a hustler, whatever you want to call it, you know how they view it? They go, oh yeah, this is just a part of my story. It's a part of my testimony. I'm going to be telling people about this one day. Whereas losers go, another bad thing happened to me. I guess it's just not meant for me to make it in life. They have the victim mentality. It's a sob story 24/7. Nobody wants to hear that. I'm sorry to get all motivational mad on you, but it's the truth. Winners don't make excuses. They don't. Everything's their fault. You know what losers do in this life? They blame other people. It's never their fault. Zero accountability. Let's continue along here. We have a couple more comments I want to read off because I think they're really intriguing.
That's real right there. I rock with what he just said. Winners never complain. Losers do. Whew, that's a word within itself. But yeah, man, y'all let me know y'all thoughts and opinions on it down below. I will be looking. Appreciate y'all for stopping by the channel, rocking with your boy. That's going to do it for this one, man. Catch y'all in the next one.